We're here to solve this Fillomino by Prasanna Seshadri called 2022 Duality. You can see the New Year theme cleanly through the center. And as I'm just going through this grid, I only see one local place to do anything, and that's just marking a box around a 1. It's actually not doing too much. There's a 2 or 5 can go into these cells. None of these diagonal clues actually eliminate things. The 2's got lots of options for it. You know, it's interesting, these 20s will have to probably be connected and the 22s will have to be connected, but that's not a constraint that gives us a cell right away. The 3's could join, and even if those 3's join, the 7's could join around them, but the 3's could also be fully different. So there's no local step to take here, and in a hard Fillomino, at least a Saturday Fillomino, we'll sometimes have to go to our global thinking caps. And so let me describe sort of one of the things you want to do when this looks like there might be a global constraint in the puzzle. We've got 12 by 12 or 144 cells to fill. And what we want to try to do is count up how many distinct Fillominos do we already know that we have, and allow for the fact, like, these don't have to be 2 different 3's. These could be the same 3. So I only really have to count for one of them right now because they could join together. And even if these join together, again, I said that this 7 could still come around 7 cells and join to that 7. So in this lower right corner, this 3 and 7 could just be one set of effective clues, a total of 10. These could actually be 4 clues that count for just 10 cells. Notice that's different than actually these 2 8's. These 8's can't join in any credible way. If they came together, and this actually is using 9 cells, not 8 cells, so let's do something like this. They would surround the 5, or they'd surround the 4. So where one 8 has to be, say, in red, this other 8 is in blue, they are distinct polyominoes. This 5 is not the same as this 5, so this will have to be a distinct shape. This 4 can't join anything, so we have to have a 4 group, got to have a 3 group here, got to have a 6 group here. This will be the first of a 20 group, and this 20 could join to some other 20. We also need to have a 22 group. So as a starting point, I'm going to color or count up what I've marked in these cells, and I'm going to do sort of some scrappy margin notes here, but in green I've got to 10. This is 16 and 9 is 25 more. This is 14, this is 34, so I get out to 69 in the space. Adding into here, I've got 91 in the counts for everything on the right side of the grid. Let's now come back and color the left side a bit. This 1 is certainly on its own, this 2 is on its own. Across these 3 5's, I can't have one group, I must have at least 2 groups, but this 5 could join in and be red or blue. This 9 and this 9 can connect. We were showing that example didn't work for the 8's, but it would work if these 9's joined exactly like this and surround the 2 and give just enough shape for the 2. So I'm only going to count one of the 9's right now. I do have to count this 2. I've got to count this 3, I've got to count this 5, and right now I'm not going to think about this 20 because it could be this 20, but we're going to get to that pretty soon. But for now, let's just count up these new values I've marked on the left side. This is 8, 5, 9, and 2 is 16, and this is another 8. So I've got 32 coming from the side. 32 into 91 is now 123. So we've got 21 more to go. So the first thing I'm learning is we can't have 2 22's in this group. So this 22 is indeed one big region, whether it's coming all the way through the center or like going around this 20. There is not a second 22 Fillomino defined here. It's just the big one we've got marked. And so what we have to ask ourselves, we've got 21. There is a potential flexibility to have 2 20 groups. And so the first thing to ask ourselves is, can there only be one 20 group? The most effective way to connect this top 20 to this bottom 20 is a straight line I just drew. That takes 12 cells. The most effective way to then reach to this is 4 more cells. That gets us to 16. We can't come through this path to get 20 cells for that 20. We've got to take at least 6 cells to get there, either these 6 or these 6. So there is not just a single 20 in this grid. I actually don't know that it's, say, this 20 and this 20 are separate, but I do know that my effective count of clues in the grid is 143 with 2 20's. And that means I have at most a hidden single polyomino of size 1 that remains for this puzzle to solve. So what does that mean? Well, with some of the stuff we were already coloring, that means the 3's absolutely must connect. It means these 7's will connect, we just don't know which way yet. It does mean these 9's absolutely have to connect and surround the 2 like so. And what I think is actually the most critical thing, but these all are the same ahas that come when you get to this interesting sum of 143, that 6 and this 6 on the left and right have to be part of the same shape. There's not enough space with a flexibility of 1 degree of freedom to get 6 more cells into the grid. You only have one of those 6 accounted for. So we've got a great start with those, and now we do want to think about how does the 22 and 20 flow now that we put a big blocker through the middle. 22 coming through the left would actually surround this 20, so that's not going to work. So the 22 is going to have to come along this edge, come down this corner, and in doing that, this 20 is going to have to come to the left, join up here. It's going to have to come around this space, join into this. Notice that's going to surround this 5. So how do we get as many as 5 cells with that 20 still having room to grow? It's going to have to look something like this. So this 20 still grows out. What's the count we have so far for this 20? Well, it could potentially take 2 more cells. This is 7, this is 13, this is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we've got some shape like this. This 22 is going to need to keep growing. We want to ask, does it come this long path or this short path out to this 22? And that's going to be reflecting on the fact we've got to still deal with these 8s. If we came this longer path, this 8's going to be coming in, this 8's going to be coming in. Now we've got to actually take this even longer path, and now there's no way for these 7s to connect. So the 22 channel is not this third sort of channel of rows. We see 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the second channel. So we know that the 22s will take these cells, they'll take these cells. This 5 is going to have to take at least some of these. This 8 is going to have to take this. This 4 is coming across, has to take at least these. This 8's coming down. In coming down, it now does force this orientation for the 7. We're getting some headway. It's just taking some time to get there. This is still coming over for the 22. This 3 has 1 of these at most taken, so this 5 has to take at least 1 more over. This 20 is going to come down. How do we make this 5 work with this 8 and this 22? Well, these 5 cells look to be the most compact shape that gives a channel for an 8 to grow and a channel for the 22 to grow. So it will have to be this compact set. This 8 can take as many as these 8 cells now fully marked for it to work. So the 4 will have to come up. In coming up, the 22 chokes into this cell, which means the 3 takes these. The 22 is fully specified coming across. 8 comes down. This is 5, 6, 7, 8. These 22s will have to join. Let's do a count for this group. This is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 with another 7 to go. That's exactly 22. And 8's already marked. So this is our last degree of freedom, where we were saying at the start we had 143. We now have a count of 144. That is our single polyomino. So the rest of this grid is going to be getting everything tightly packed. There are no more hidden shapes to find. So when I put in this 5, the 3's got to come over. This 2 has to come over. So what's the count we have now? This is 11, 12. This is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this has to be like this. This cell has to be part of a polyomino I have in the grid, and it can't be a 20 because it's touching a 20. So it must be part of this 5, and that actually completes this T-shape. That now means this 5 is not part of that group, so it's going to be this 20. Notice that these cells will have to be part of the big polyomino we have of this 20, but this 5 has to not touch this cell, so these are also part of this 20. So the only way this works is to pack a 5 that gets the 20 all around it, and so we have finished this challenging grid. And if you bother to count up the size of the cells, you'll see we have exactly 20 in this region. So really great puzzle from Prasanna. We may have a video also this week from his constructor side of how to go about this, but this is a case of a Friday or Saturday difficulty puzzle that really, when you look locally, you've got nothing, so you gotta try something different right away. And this adding up of the minimum sums of these clues, being pretty diligent in the bookkeeping, seeing we got to 143 out of 144 total, forced this 6 connection, forced this 9 connection, forced everything else to then flow out. So a really, really elegant use of the 2022 theme, the duplication of the 20, and getting to just 1 degree of freedom left over is a pretty fun set of ways it worked through the rest of the grid. So a really brilliant start to the year. Thanks, Prasanna, for the puzzle. Thanks for you all for watching this video. We'll see you again soon.